I have made this show for many reasons. Mainly to just talk about my favorite pieces of animation, and specifically, pieces of my childhood. And well, that's where we are today, ladies and gentlemen, because we are finally going to be reviewing the Ninja Turtles of my childhood, the one that made me into the fan that I am today. With a combination of this and the '07 movie, I became a huge fan. Now, let me preference. When I was a kid, there was only two big channels I'd have on all the time when I was watching TV, when I was a young kid. And that was Nickelodeon and Jetix. Now, for those of you who don't know what Jetix is, it is a now, unfortunately dead, Disney affiliated channel that came with multiple different shows that varied from Power Rangers to imports of anime to some original content, mainly by 4Kids Entertainment. And I know a lot of people love to dunk on 4Kids all the time, but trust me when I say that channel back then was like the dream channel of my life. Yes, it didn't have SpongeBob. Yes, it didn't have Danny Phantom or Fairly Odd Parents or any of the old Boomerang cartoon shows. Yes, I know. It doesn't have any of the old Boomerang Cartoon Network shows. Yes, but it made up for it by a stellar lineup. I already mentioned Power Rangers, but there was also Sonic X, the original English dub of Yu-Gi-Oh!, also at this point known as Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, Chaotic, and a bunch of other shows. And this is probably my favorite of that entire lot, aside from Sonic X, because of my obvious bias. So, let's talk about what is arguably, to this day, one of the most faithful and well-done adaptations of the entire Ninja Turtles legacy, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2003. I don't know where to begin. I love this show. Plain and simple. I'm just going to let you guys know about that right now. This is going to be one of the most positive, extremely upbeat reviews you're going to see out of me, because I have almost nothing but praise to throw at this show, especially in its first original 5 seasons. This was an incredible show that was more the Ninja Turtles that I was looking for. It was deep, it was story-driven, it was character-driven, it was dark, it was violent, and it was freaking awesome. I don't know where to begin. This is one of the best Ninja Turtles shows out there, and usually if people don't have this at their number 1, it's in the top 2 or top 3. This is a phenomenal, outstanding version of the TMNT, with just the small problem that the final seasons are garbage. Yes, unfortunately, just like the '87 show, we have a situation where the show starts out really strong, and then in the final few seasons, it just falters out, in a very bad, obnoxious way. And this one's arguably even worse of a drop-off than '87 had with the Red Sky Saga. But okay, I'll get into all of that. Let's start with my initial, just, written review from my Facebook. I'd love to give this one a higher score, but because of the final few seasons, subtitled Fast Forward and Back to the Sewer respectively, being pretty lousy compared to the masterful first 5 seasons of the show, and Turtles Forever, well, I'll get there when I get there, I have to knock it down a few pegs. Even with those drawbacks, however, this is still a fantastic iteration of the franchise, and the TMNT series I grew up with as a kid that has made me a lifelong fan for 20 years now. Fantastic writing, excellent storytelling, amazing stylized 2D animation, great humor, superb design, spectacular characters, top-notch voice acting, especially Wayne Grayson's Michelangelo and Michael Sinterniclass, I hope I'm saying that right, Leonardo, who steal every scene they're in. A darker tone that's true to the old-school Mirage comics, excellent fight scenes with great choreography, great settings, superb dialogue, and the distinction of being the very first TMNT show to faithfully adapt actual storylines from the comic books, such as Leo's first defeat from being ambushed by the foot soldiers and his long recovery following afterwards. I was obsessed with this show growing up, dressing up as this version of Leonardo for Halloween one year. Also, my brother was Raphael. And I had a pretty decent amount of the toys as well. Watching it all these years later was not only nostalgic, but also helped me gain an even deeper appreciation for everything it did so well. Add on to that the recently recovered lost original 5th season, thanks to the fans, and you have one of my favorite shows of all time. With the recent release of the complete collection, and because just like Sonic X, it's free on YouTube in its entirety. Yes, this one's free on YouTube. I will leave the link in the description because I highly recommend you guys go check this show out. There's no better time than now to check out this masterfully crafted era of this fantastic franchise. Can't recommend it highly enough, but just temper your expectations accordingly when you get to the final 3 seasons, because man is it a lousy ending to this spectacular show. Not quite the best thing 4Kids ever made since Sonic X exists, and not quite my favorite TMNT show anymore because of what's coming next. But this is easily the second best Turtle show, and more than deserves your time. Yeah, that's one of the longest descriptive written reviews I've ever done on Facebook. And that's because this one absolutely deserves it. It is a phenomenal, outstanding, well-done version of the show. And if Fast Forward and Back to the Sewer didn't even exist, this would be my favorite. But this one suffers from consistency, because as soon as we get to Fast Forward, it kind of just head dives first off a cliff. I'm not going to do individual season final ratings, because that seems a bit overdoing it, but all you need to know is that this version of the TMNT is fantastic, and 2000s kids like me still hold this show in very high regard. Like, I don't even know what else I can really say. I guess talk about the voice cast? Yeah, let's talk about the voice cast. So, Michael Sinterklaas as Leonardo was the Leonardo of my childhood, and he's the one I'm the most familiar with, and his Leonardo is fantastic. He's able to balance being the Leonardo we all know while also being a little bit silly. Like, he's not afraid to be silly, and he does have his nerdy moments. Something that's even better explored in the next version to come. Wayne Grayson's Michelangelo, best Michelangelo ever made. I'm not even going to try to beat around the bush on that one. That is the best version of Michelangelo that we've ever gotten. Yes, the 87 version has the surfer rocker dude voice, yes. But this Michelangelo is extremely funny, very well, how was I going with this? Very well made. No, that. Sorry, this show just gets me so excited every time I even see anything related to it that it's hard for me to talk. But Wayne Grayson's Michelangelo is, in my opinion, the perfect Michelangelo. He's awesome, he's funny, he's heartfelt, and he's just an enjoyable character all the way throughout the show. But he's not the only one to have probably the best version of the specific turtle, because we also have to talk about Gregory Abbey's Raphael. I think this one may also be my favorite Raph. Like, no offense to Rob Paulson or Sean Ashton, they did an amazing job, but Gregory Abbey, his Raphael is so freaking good. The Brooklyn accent, the way he's able to perfectly, emote his anger and rage, it's really hard to explain, but when you see it, you will understand it. Immediately, his voice is what comes to my head when I think of Raphael. He's got that Brooklyn accent, he has that takes no one's crap attitude, and at times he can be very funny. I also really like how he kind of mellows out as the show goes on, and I mean that in a good way. Sam Riegel's Donatello is good, but I don't know, his voice was kind of just okay to me. Then Darren Dunstan's Splinter is great. Mark Thompson and Veronica Taylor play the best small screen versions of Casey and April, and I will fight you on this any day of the week. And especially Mark Thompson's Casey. Like, that is, in my opinion, the definitive version of Casey Jones. Him and the original 90s version. Like, it's just so good. Like, the voice, he's the one that popularized the phrase Gungala, which never stops making me laugh. And he's also involved in some of the best arcs in the whole series. I especially love the backstory they gave him with how it connects to the Purple Dragons and the way he meets Raphael and the rest of the Turtles, and just the story that he goes on throughout the series. It's so well done. His and April's relationship in the show is by far the best. Like, It's so well built, it's so well crafted, it takes its time, it doesn't try to rush anything. And it's the one thing throughout the other two iterations of this show that they were actually able to do well. Heck, one of the final episodes of the show was April and Casey getting married, and that's one of the only episodes of Back to the Sewer I will go so far as to say is a really good episode. And then we have Sean Schemmel. Yes, Funimation dub Goku's in this show as Constable Biggles. He's pretty good. David Zen Mansley as Agent Bishop is awesome. I can't really say much about his character because a lot of it ties into spoilers, but he's an awesome character. Then Scott Real is a fantastic shredder, arguably the best one we've ever gotten. Like, he's a no-nonsense. He literally takes nobody's nonsense, and he is BAAF. I'm not going to say the actual word because this is technically still a kid's channel. Like, he is BA. He is BA, he is scary, he is intimidating, and the twists that they throw in there, such a great twist. Then Greg Carey's Hun's really good. Scott Williams as Baxter Stockman, arguably the best Baxter we've ever gotten. Dan Green as Commander Mozart, yes, that you're thinking exactly what you're thinking. That is the same guy that voices Knuckles. He does an amazing job. Eric Stewart as Hamato Yoshi in the flashbacks is great. Nell Balabin, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. You're the voice of Karai, and you did a fantastic job. Then you have Cody Jones, voiced by Clay Adams. Then you have Oliver Wyman, who voices the Fugitoid. He does really good. And then the last one I want to mention is J. David Brimmer as Zanramon. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He does an amazing job too. Not to mention, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, their original creators, are heavily involved with this show. And you can tell that pretty much from the first episode. It doesn't feel like a 4-kids show. It doesn't play out like a 4-kids show. At least not at first. And it feels very true to its source material. Like, it doesn't feel like it's trying to make fun of it or use it just as a vehicle to make something stupid for a cash grab. No. This one, at least in the first 5 seasons, took this show very seriously. And it took its tone and characters very seriously. And because of that, we're able to get invested in these characters. And they do such a great job. But, like I said, then the show kind of nosedives off a cliff as 4Kids becomes 4Kids and craps on it. Yeah, Fast Forward and Back to the Sewer are bad, even though I will shout out the Back to the Sewer theme song, which is a banger, way better than the season itself. And speaking of theme songs, let's talk about that 03 theme song. I know I didn't really mention the 87 or the Next Mutation theme song, and it's because they're kind of basic. Like, the original 87 theme is really good, it's iconic, but I don't know. It's cheesy. And then the one for Next Mutation, the original one they had when the show first aired was garbage, and then they added a pretty cool one that I kind of like. It's okay, it's average, when the Shout Factory DVDs came around. And then we get to the 2003 theme. You guys already know how much I love rock music, so obviously I have an obvious bias towards this one. This song slaps. Like, it is so good. The guitar in the background, the lyrics, the "Watch out for Shredder." That line. It's such a good theme song. And then Fast Forwards is garbage. Nothing more I need to say there. So I've rambled on about this show long enough. If I haven't made it clear already, go watch this show right now if you haven't already for some reason. This is a fantastic version of the TMNT. Just skip Back to the Sewer and fast forward. Watch the first original 5 seasons. And a little heads up for you, Season 5 is very dark. Like, I'm surprised they got away with it dark. But of course, that's also why I love it so much. And one other thing I guess I should mention about this show is that, a lot like Superman the Animated Series, it has an episode dedicated to Jack Kirby, who passed away around this time. And it's a very heartfelt, really touching episode. Like, It is technically a filler episode, but it's a great filler episode. Seriously, go check that one out. And like I said, the whole series is free on YouTube right now. The link will be in the description. So, I've talked about the pros, talked about the cons, the little bit that there are. And yeah, I love this show. And even though it may technically be my own 2000s kid bias, I have a great time with this series. I still think it's fantastic, and I can't recommend it highly enough. My final verdict, for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2003 as a whole, taking into account the 3 bad seasons and the 1 movie that I'm not a fan of, and I'll get more into that when I get to that actual review, is going to be still, regardless, a high 8 out of 10. This is a fantastic installment of the show. It's been highly praised, and with the complete collection out very soon, there is no better time than now to watch this show. Highly, highly, highly recommended. If it weren't for the final 3 seasons being crap, I would absolutely give this one a 9. It is so good. But somehow, some way, the Turtles found a way to top themselves, because what we're looking at next is my personal favorite pick of my favorite Ninja Turtles cartoon. The one that I'm most familiar with, the one that I've rewatched the most, and the one that I am super excited to get into. So, yep, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time for Nickelodeon's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012. Until next time, I'm Jack Small of Animation Station, and I'll see you next time. Cowabunga, dudes!